No, I'm actually. Well, in my head, I am. It's better than last time when I just seemed like I was doing it in my head.
I mean, no, last time it was pretty obvious too. You were just jamming.
Maybe. I don't know. I felt like it seemed like I was doing it in my head.
Well, probably to everybody else. To me, it didn't because I had a little more frame of reference. Because
So,
you'd mentioned something, and I was like, well, it doesn't seem like it's working too well on my end.
for those of you just tuning in that are unaware of the context of which Lewis and I are talking about, first of all, thank you for tuning in. I'm Riley, and this is Lewis, and we
Hey,
are the co-founders of Hammer Sport Marketing. And this is full on a Hammer Sport Marketing promo video. However, you will learn something from this. So, if you're watching and you're like, "Oh man, these guys are just pitching the whole time," yeah, we're pitching, but we're also gonna teach you something too. So, what we're talking about right now is the last time we went live, we were trying to do intro music, and I didn't have my mixer broadcasting back into Zoom, and so I played the song, and I was sitting there listening to it, and it wasn't going through. So that was for like the first 3 or 4 minutes of our last video or the video before that. It's kind of shitty, but it was also funny. Now it's across all of our platforms as that.
impromptu goodness is what that is. So yeah, thanks for everybody for joining. Let's get right into it, man, because this is all part of the next kind of a little series of videos that I wanted to do for everybody, which is to explain our core services. So I call them the boxes and the services that are in the box. And the last video that we did about this last week, we explained how the reason we developed this idea and way of talking about our core services is so that we can make sure our clients understand why we're doing what we're doing and when we do it, so that we're real always keeping them aware and engaged in our process so that they know what we're doing and they're not just turning over the reins to us. They're being involved in it. So they're learning from us, learning with us about their brand, about their marketing, and how to get it out there and be effective with it. Because I think that's how it needs to be done. So
I agree.
So yeah, so last time we talked about the 5 boxes and the five core services, which I'll review are branding, testing, digital branding, digital marketing, and digital scaling. We're skipping the testing part because that's a more of an advanced conversation that really doesn't. If we were going to build this out like 4 different types of businesses. So let's say we had a website where you punched in and said, I'm a small business with 2 employees and I do this much business. What would you recommend for us? Then we would probably pop up branding, digital branding, and digital marketing. And then if you were a business that was a little bit bigger and you were like, hey, this is what we do, we're 20 employees and we're grossing 10 million a year, gross revenue, what would you recommend? We'd pop up branding, digital marketing, and digital scaling. And then if you were a startup company, we would pop up all 5 of the boxes and say, well, if you're a funded startup company, then you want to add testing into that. So you have all 5 core services. And if you are a bootstrap company, then you're going to have to do your testing while you do some advertising and probably just through organic social media. So you're going to take the testing box out of there and just go branding, digital marketing. So today we already have been, it's branding year. So this month is branding month, next month is branding month. Every month is branding month at Hammer Sport Marketing, because brand development kicks ass. And if you want to kick ass for the rest of your life, you want to do brand development for the rest of your life. So that's an ongoing topic. We'll talk about that more. We want to talk about digital branding, because what the hell is digital branding?
Well, I think I think that pivot was a little too hard and quick because
Okay,
like,
smooth it out a little.
I mean you you gotta kind of talk about why You just said that. You know what I mean?
Okay, totally.
Like, why is it always branding month? Like, why isn't it always sales month?
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, how? So I've been in a conversation lately, and I seem to be getting like falling into a lot of them because I'm friends with a lot of salespeople, friends, right? And so, and you know, they don't really. A lot of times, they're not invested in the whole process, right? Like they're not out there planting the seeds; they're just reaping the harvest, so to speak, right? And so there's always the question that, yeah, of course, a brand is important, but that's not what's going to bring in the revenue. Why is it branding month? Like, we should be doubling our sales this month. Like, we should be, like, you know, calling twice as many people, sending twice as many emails. Like, how come we're not doing stuff like that? Like, why is it branding that we want to invest in? That doesn't make any sense.
Great. So tell us why.
So that's the question. Like, I know the answer. The answer is because that's the only thing. So there's a couple different layers to this answer, right? And you got to be really savvy to understand this truly, right? But a brand is a credibility, right? And it's always credibility. That's exactly what it is. It's only that. Okay. So whether you have
Reputation. Good reputation equals credibility. Bad reputation, no credibility.
right. So a brand is credibility, reputation. You can number it, you can monetize it, you can do whatever you want, right? Some people have a formula for building that credibility. Okay, that's typically what you get when you work with a marketing agency. Is they have a formula for it's a go to market thing, right? That's the formula for creating credibility for an organization that doesn't yet have one. Typically, one that's brand new to the market,
Yeah,
right?
for us, that's our brand development process.
Right. So the question is why do I want to do that instead of sales? Why am I more interested in that? And the answer is because first of all, nobody likes being sold, right? Everybody hates being sold. So cold calls, even though business owners are statistically receptive to them, they frankly don't like getting cold calls. I'm a business owner. I don't like getting cold calls. I almost hate when the fucking kid knocks on my door or tries to sell me fucking pest control services. I like, right? So that's the perception in the market that we're dealing with, and there's frankly no getting around that, right? So we can be as nice and approachable as we want and get over that in the instant. But the question is why do you want to, as an organization, why do you want to set your salespeople up for that every single time they're having to make a sale?
Or why do you want to just rely on that?
Right.
Well, you could have,
Like,
like, you can't multiply your salespeople at the drop of a hat
right.
with $100 bill.
It doesn't work like that. And even if you did tell them they can make twice as many calls this month, well, are you basing that off of last month and next
Not if they already maxed out their calls at 250 a day.
you going to base the metrics for twice as many off of last month? Because the only way you're going to scale that is with twice as many people.
Yep.
Right? So you're always going to get maxed out on that. And the best way that you can make sure a salesman is always closing is to make sure that the leads are always warm, right? Like that the leads aren't coming in all jumbled and shit, and the salesman isn't having to jump over all these hoops. And how do you do that? With a brand.
You gotta get people to want to deal with your company.
You got to give credibility, right? So
Yep.
what have you been saying about a brand? It's the first step of what?
It's the first step in the sales process.
Right.
It overcomes the first two steps.
I think that more people,
The third one.
first of all, more businesses need to have a defined sales process, which they don't.
Yep.
And then they need to have completed their first step of their sales process before they even define their sales process. Right? Sometimes they'll go hand in hand, but most of the time they start the first step and then they figure out the sales process and they fail to complete the first step.
Yep.
They realize that the first step is the foundation and you're always relaying the foundation.
Well, I think we're nailing a kind of one of the paradigm, the reasons this happens is because business owners and business founders are inherently salespeople, and salespeople inherently don't need a brand to sell their thing all by themselves. But it's still not a nice way to do business. It's not the way you grow to be multinational.
No, it's, I mean,
Not the way you scale. So
nearly
and
on a team.
yeah, run a team.
If you really think about it from like, so this is when you have to you ask yourself, what am I doing? Am I running a single person company? Am I, if you are, then you can get by not
Yeah.
focusing on this. But if you're trying to have more than one person representing your organization, then there's a couple different things you're going to have to do. One of those things is you're going to have to care about the person enough to set up a framework for how they're supposed to represent the organization, right? And if you,
And see, usually the problem is salespeople know how to do this part on their own. Like
right,
they don't even need a brand to do it because they start to just talk about the company's owner. And they say, oh, well, the owner, he's owned it since this time and he's always done this, he did this and did this. And then they move on to the next step. But if you give them a brand, that part is a lot easier than talking about how old the owner is. So it's, we'll go into that more because that's part of the course, but it's an awesome thing to have a brand. It's so much more than what you do and how you do it.
I just don't think that people understand it enough. I think even if we, there's going to be a subsection of the market that like is buying into the brand, and they're going to want to be educated on the step-by-step guide, and obviously we can use targeting and stuff like that to find them. But I don't want to, like, I still want to educate the people that are connected to us that aren't necessarily going to buy this product, right? Because
Yeah. Yeah,
they
you're right.
they still need to know, right? So like even if you're not interested in what we have to offer, like we're not teaching you anything that's new, and we're definitely not teaching you anything that's far out, right? So whatever we're saying, like regardless of how we look or how it's presenting or how it's coming across to you, the information is true, and it's tried and true, right? So the biggest organizations in the world are using this information to scale their organization. And so the question is that being said, let's assume you didn't know that, right? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt by saying you didn't know that, okay? Let's assume you didn't know that. Now the question is like, okay, now that I know this, what do I do about it? Right? What does it matter to me that the biggest organizations in the world are using a brand to scale their business? What does that exactly mean to me? Like I'm a fucking one man show for 850 Call Joe. What does it mean to him to have a brand?
And he knows it's the future of his company. So it's building the impression and the reputation that he wants it to have so that he can attract the kind of people that he wants to deal with. And that goes all the way from his clients to his future employees.
Right. And
And
that's
then the culture that forms.
you get to that point when you have it that well thought out, documented, the systems and the framework set up, then you don't have to worry about what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't have to like try and get leads. You don't have to run Facebook ads for that reason. Like you will pretty much have your demand of customers because of the way the internet works. So all of this is layered on top of the conversation that we're talking about the world's most open platform, right? So that's where we're starting the conversation. We're not saying go on TV and
The world's most open platform being the internet.
the internet, yeah,
Yeah.
right. And so
Yeah. Super cheap to get your message out there on. Free, in fact.
yeah, it's free. The only thing it costs is human capital, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is everybody says, hey, like this is the thing Gary Vee talks about. Everyone is always like, yeah, how do you scale that? Right? How do you scale that? And what they're really saying is like, how do you get more out of that without me having to put more time into it?
So there you nailed it. That's a great point is a brand is a scalable version of a human personality so that it can be digitally reproduced.
Yeah.
And so that brings us to digital branding, which is simply reproducing your brand across every digital platform that your customers are on. So there we go. That's the end of digital branding. We just explained it.
Like it's more complicated than that. Obviously,
Yeah.
our solution is simple, but our methodology is almost always mind-bogglingly complicated and super boring, actually, in the approach. But if you think about it, it's like, how would this work in a perfect world? Well, that's how we do it, right? We don't we don't say, well, you should probably do this, but we only do it like that. No, like what works for your organization is what we're gonna do. If building that platform works for your organization, that's what we're going to do. If putting the content out on LinkedIn works, that's what we're going to do. If making a podcast works, that's what we're going to do. If all of it works, that's what we're going to do. We're going to like that. That's how it works. Like you don't want to pick and choose on this, especially when it comes to your brand. So the question isn't which platform, right? So for certain industries, for certain businesses, not all platforms is going to be it, right? But once you have that defined, we'll help you define that. Once you have that defined, then the question is, okay, how much time and energy can I commit to filling these platforms with my content? Because my content equals my brand.
Yep.
So that's what we help you with. We help you. We have a system that helps you create the content, that helps you document the content, right? We have a system that helps you create quote unquote shows around that content, right? So frameworks for presenting that content to your audience so that they will demand it from you, subscribe to it, be on alert, be looking out for it, right? For your next marketing opportunity. Right? So that's what we specialize in quote unquote digital branding. So you can think of it as posting on social media, but that's as simple as your marketing approach is if that's how you think of digital branding. It's not as simple as our marketing approach is.
That's pretty good. So digital branding is all of your content management systems and your content publishing systems presenting your brand digitally. So it's the combination of everything working together. It's your Facebook looking like your web page that also looks like the banners on your LinkedIn, that also look like the thumbnails somewhat on your Instagram posts, that also look like where everything then sounds the same and feels the same as well, because look is just one part of it.
The key difference is the content is curated for the platform. It's not distributed across the platforms. It's curated for the platform.
So, and that's our, it's a multifaceted strategy using a bunch of different platforms and other different publishing tools as well. So, and you want to get your brand out in different mediums so that people can absorb your brand and hear it and see it in different ways. So there's the tone and the sound of the words you use. There's even the tone of the pictures and the colors you use and the feeling that they present. And then there's your digital brand just presented in sound. So that would be a podcast or any other just sound only recording. And then you have the written word, which would be your brand in writing, using the words and thoughts and ideas in writing to describe your brand. And all of these things are a brand, not just your logo. So that's why, there's been discussions going around, which we definitely agree on, that can you build a brand without a logo? It's like, well, yeah, that's easy. Like you can build a brand without a name.
You can build a brand with just a cartoon character.
We haven't gotten into digital brand smells.
I don't know what a digital brand smells like.
Nope, me neither.
if you're watching this and you've tapped into something like that, please email me, Riley@hammersportmarketing.com.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, don't I know some of the rides have used. You've been on the rides where they shoot a little water or some air.
My email in there.
What's that?
Don't just email me because you heard me put my email in there.
Okay. And so there's got to be some, the next, they say scent is the most mind remembering of all the senses, that it instigates memory better than anything else. It brings up old memories.
Beard Mountain.
What's that?
What do you think we work with Beard Mountain?
There we go. So that's like, there's this, we need, like, that'll be the next era of digital marketing where everybody's computer has a scent producer.
Oh.
So that you can send random scents.
Yeah, I'm already how to make that. So you know how like smells and tastes break down, right?
I mean, not like, I don't know.
Esters and ethers.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah. So I barely remember this, but I did learn it. So it breaks down to esters and ethers. It's either esters or ethers that are the alcohol, and then the other one is the one that's not an alcohol, which I don't remember what the fuck that is. But basically, it's
Ether is the alcohol then, and the ester is the other one.
yeah. So the ester is like the natural juices of it. That's not alcohol. I don't really know. I'm not. I didn't study this. I just learned about it. And so basically, all the smells and all the tastes and stuff like that in food, in cosmetology,
Yeah.
those industries break down to the uses of esters and ethers. So any new smell, taste,
Oh.
and whatever breaks down to a biological chemist creating ester and ether. Also, sometimes they create salts, right? So
Okay, so it's the building blocks of scents or tastes.
yeah.
Interesting. Well, moving on. That's- yeah. So we learned a little bit. We learned about esters and ethers and digital branding. And so, like next week, we'll come on and we'll learn. We're going to talk about the next step, which would be digital marketing, which is going to be weird because isn't that what we do? And we'll explain why we broke it down into branding, and digital marketing, and what that means. For now, what else were we going to talk about? Don't we have something coming up here?
Yeah, I haven't built out the Facebook event yet. I still have to do that, but I can share the link, which I will do right now. Let me make sure it's the right link. Here it is. And actually, I think I have to redo the code. So we are doing a webinar again on Friday, and this webinar is basically going to break down the ins and outs, at least the steps to building a brand, right? So we kind of talked about how important it was. We told you how the biggest companies in the world figure this out. They use the brand. And then we also told you that like there's a proven step-by-step process, right? So that's basically where we are. Here,
So it's real simple. We had to, this just goes back to us learning our trade and how we want to present our skills to the world. Through the process of learning this, we came to realize that so many companies that are making good money and have a bunch of stuff going on, they have a logo, they don't have a totally developed brand. Because when we start to write advertisements for them, or we start to produce digitally their brand or media or marketing, we didn't have the answers to the questions we need when trying to sell something for somebody, like other than what it is. And that's the brand. So we had to develop a system to develop brands for other people and ourselves for that matter. So we spent a year developing this system, looking at all the other systems out there and finding the best and the worst of all the different parts, making up a little bit of our own and putting it in the right order so that it makes sense to do this. and we came up with our own brand development process. And we use it with our clients, and it works great. We love it because as soon as we finish that, we can produce messages for them that are on point. And everything across all of the platforms looks, smells, and feels and sounds the same. So it works and we love it. So we wanted to bring this to more people. It's an expensive process. Everybody can benefit from it, but maybe not everybody can afford it. So we decided to make an online course out of this so that more people could use this. So that's what we're doing. That's what today is about is, hey, we're finishing the completion of this course and we're getting ready to put it out there and let people use this course and learn branding for themselves and brand their company.
But first, we're instead of telling you about the course right now, we're telling you about the webinar.
I'm telling you about the webinar about the course.
Yeah. So the course is paid. Like it's gonna be pretty pricey. We haven't decided on the price yet. I think Lewis and I are going back and forth on that.
It's the real deal, though. It's not easy. Like, you don't just watch this video and you're like, oh, that was great. I know it.
Yeah.
No, you watch the video and then you do stuff for a long, like.
Yeah. So it's 3 months of client work that we do with our clients with meetings and stuff like that, broken down into a 6 video course that you can do yourself with your team, right? So it's a lot of work. It's not like you're just gonna watch the videos, breeze through them, and like Facebook ads. It's it's not like that, right? So a lot of the concepts and stuff like that are pretty high level. A lot of them the points aren't even made by us. They're made by high level marketers because they can articulate them better, right? But what we are going to do is on Friday, we're going to give a stripped down version of that as a presentation to you to show you, like,
here what it entails, what's in it.
Here's what's in it. Here, if you were to build a brand, you could take the video that we give you on Friday and have a structure to do research on to fill in the pieces, right? So that's basically what you're going to get from the webinar on Friday. So I shared the link in the comments. Go to events.hammersportmarketing.com, and there's a little extra at the end of that. But yeah, that's a personal link. If you go to events.hammersportmarketing.com/B/RIL-H3J-AFM-W6B, I will figure out a way to make
And so what else is cool about this is you're going to see a webinar on a custom webinar room.
Hold on, because actually this is a good opportunity to announce what we just did. Like, we haven't white labeled this yet, right? So basically what we did is we found a webinar software that anybody can use. It's open source. I will even send you the source code if you want to get it going for yourself. That anybody can use to host their live events. So that's what we're doing. If you go to events.hammersportmarketing.com, you can actually sign up for your own profile and host your events right now on it. So if you're interested in doing that, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you.
So yeah, so that's what's pretty interesting about tomorrow is this is going to be on our own platform. So, if you want to, if you're one of those guys that are paying like
10 a.m. Eastern time,
paying the extra $100-200 a month to use Zoom webinar, then check this out. Or if you pay anything to use Zoom, which even we do, but we're not gonna for long because we have this, is check it out, see how it works. We're gonna use it. It probably won't work as smoothly as Zoom because this is the first time we're going to use it, but we're going to do it. And you can see that we're capable of doing this, that this is something that's real, that we are a development company. We're developers and marketers and understand both of those things. And we're going to help people get off of all of these third-party platforms.
Yeah, at least to a platform that you own. So.
Yep. So tomorrow will be dual purpose, testing this out, sharing with you
11 a.m. Eastern time,
the branding course. So thanks for taking the time to watch this. If you have any questions, definitely hit us up in the comments. You can find us on all of the major social media platforms as Hammer Sport Marketing. And you can also find us, go to our website at hammersportmarketing.com. I'm Lewis May. This is Riley Seberg.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.
See you later.